So today we are getting ready to do some renovations. We have a lifting table coming that you jack up with your foot and go up to 50 inches. So we'll be able to take these 186 pound inverters off the wall. We'll be able to paint that wall, put that backer board on there, which is fireproof, over here. And then we're going to add two more of these so we can go up to 18,000 watts in parallel. Now the difference is right now that's 12,000 watts and this is 12,000 watts on each one of these. But with this, I can get a surge of 50 amps on each one of those. So that's a surge of up to 200 amps. With this, I can't get anywhere near that surge. It can go up to 36,000 watts, but the problem is it's supposed to go up to that, but these have been able to start things up effortlessly these have done a great job, but much more efficient on the idle consumption. These are great for if you're going to put them out somewhere in a remote location. They're even great in the garage. The fan's kind of loud when I was using them overnight, and the bedroom's right above here. And those would kick on to run that 3.5 ton upstairs air conditioner. The fan would get a little loud, I could hear it. But these, I don't ever hear these fans at all inside the house. Even inside just the garage door there. They're so quiet. So I'm going to be able to get, right now I can get 200 amps on that. If I had two more, that would be 300 amps of inrush. And these are not expandable. I can do up to 12 of these inverters. So I can only do a 12,000 on each of these. So I like the fact these are expandable. Plus, I just found out I have another hernia. So 18 pounds, 186 pounds, it's a no-brainer. Time to take those off the wall and start playing with these 18 pounders. These are like a little over 100 pounds each on these batteries. Those aren't too bad, but those are easy to slide around and put on a little dolly or something. But these are just a beast, and they've worked well for me. I like them. I recommend them. But I can actually, for just about, these are $674 a piece. So almost for the same amount of money to get 4 of these and run them in parallel is about the same price as one of these. So I had to have an engine hoist with a pull chain and everything to mount these on the wall. 18 pounds, 18 to 22 pounds, somewhere in there. It's so much easier to put up on the wall. And quieter, 150 amps idle consumption minimum. And these are 50 amps each, and I run 2 of them overnight to run my air conditioners. I usually only run my upstairs. If I needed to run both of them, I'd have to run all 4 of them, which would be 100 or 200 amps idle consumption for those, which is only a little 50 over that. But there's no way I could run both my air conditioners off of this one. But I could run them both off. During the day, I run them off both of them. And even if I shut my solar down, I could run them off my battery bank. So, gonna get these off the wall, put them in storage for a while, and order up 2 more of these and be able to run them in there. And then with that amount of power, 18,000 watts output, right now it's 12,000, I can have everything I want in this one electrical panel. I mean, I still have all these slots. What is this? This is a 40 slot electrical panel. And I think that's bigger than the one that's actually on my house. But I'm going to be able to put my hot water heater. That's 5,500 watts on there, but that's one of those smart hot water heaters. It'll turn on a little bit here and there, but with 18,000 watts, I'll be able to hook that up and be able to keep that on solar, because we take our showers at like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and then we really don't use a lot of hot water. We use mostly cold or warm water to wash our clothes, and the dishwasher uses hot water, but it uses very little. So we'll be able to put that on there, and that'll make a pretty good sized difference in the summertime. We'll be able to run that hot water heater on these right here. So, and it's not that hard. All I gotta do is run the 220 wires, or 230 volt, I think it is, 230, 240 volt, and then just run it over into here. So it's maybe a 15-foot run of wire, which I already have that. So that'll be exciting to do that. And I mean, we're able to run everything. We've got our washer, heat pump, dryer with no vent. We just added this 1 cubic foot LG washing machine that you can do like delicates or hand wash in there, or you can just do regular washes. And we have a second dishwasher. That was a game changer for Thanksgiving. We hosted Thanksgiving with 2 dishwashers. That was really nice. So wife really liked that a lot. Anyways, we're going to be changing this up, and hopefully that'll be delivered today, that lift table, and we'll be able to get those off the wall, paint it up like I said, put some backer board, order up some new ones. And you know, I looked at the 12,000 and the, I think it was 18,000 EG4. But the thing I like is, first of all, those are really heavy. Those are over 100 pounds each, which I said I got a hernia, so I won't be messing with that. But I can actually get, like I said, if I put 2 more of these on the wall, that would be a combined of 300 amp inrush amps to start up. I don't have anything in my house would be any remotely close to that. With all the things starting up at the same time, I don't think that would happen. So I'm well overprotected on that. And if one of my things, the ways these are connected is this one and this one is in parallel, and this one and this one is in parallel. So over here, I would have 2 more in parallel running over in there. So if one of them goes down, I lose one of my parallels, but I still have 12,000. If something goes wrong with one unit, then my unit's down. So if I'm relying on that, then I don't want to be in that position. But with these, they've been running for like 6 months, no problems at all. I mean, I've had no problems. It's been operator error, if anything. You know, trying to run, I could start up with 2 of these on and 2 off. That's 6,000 watts output. But my 3.5 ton and my 4 ton is like 6,500 watts. So I go 500 over that. It still handle it no problem. In fact, it was pretty close to where I was getting like 3,200 watts out of this one and 3,300. So it was actually covering it between the 2. I mean, it's a 3,000 watt output, but it actually went over it and covered it, and it was be able to do that. Now I don't want to do that, max it out like that all the time. That's why I added 2 more. So I've got over 5. This one's 4,000 watt bifacial, but with the bifacial it goes up to 5,000. But I've easily hit 3,200 watts output with 10 400 watt up to 500 watt bifacials. This is 4,640 watt mono on the east side. Those are all used poly or mono panels, but I've hit over 3,000 watts output on this with 4,600. This one's 5,120 on the north wall. A lot of shade on it this time of the year, but I can still get 3,000 watts out of that 5120, even with shade on 2 or 3 of the panels. And this one is a 6,000 watt, they're 250 watt poly panels, and I have 12 in series, I parallel them, and I get 3,000 watts out of this. So 50 amps of inrush amps on each one of these. So that is just huge. And I want to be able to run that 127,000 BTU pool heater as soon as the sun starts coming on, hitting my pool again. Right now it's in complete shade. I could run it, but I would probably have to, I could run it for about 6 hours during the day with the output from these. But I'm gonna lose my temperature because it's not in the sun during the day. I can't make up enough difference. I probably, even if I ran that thing on grid power 24 hours a day, I think it would add like $200 to $300 on my electric bill in the wintertime to have a heated pool, which is really inexpensive. But with the fact that I have 12,000 watts on this, but this is on my east side, everything else is my north or west side. So that gets sun all day, that gets sun all day, that gets sun all day. This gets sun till about 1 o'clock, and then I drop down to like 400 watts from over 300 watt output. So when I add these other two over here, the input that I had for this one is 3,200 watts on one and 3,000 watts on the other. And that's the total amount of watts on the panels in that array. So that's another 6,000 watts. So this one, I can easily make up for it, and I could run that thing all day long. And the other problem I was having was with this during the winter time, if I want to run my air conditioner, which I like to, because when the wife pulls in the car, it heats up the garage. So with that over there, having more, another 6,000 watts on the west side, I was having to shut it off around 4 o'clock. Now I could run it till 6, 7 o'clock, and I don't have to worry about it. I'll be running a little bit of my battery bank, but with this one over here, it was running it down pretty much. So I'm not really using a lot of this in the wintertime, later in the day or all day. Not really running anything except for my pool pump, my freezers, fridges. But it'll be nice to be able to get that over there. I can put one inverter here, one inverter there up on top like these are, put them in parallel, run the wires over to that over there. And then I'll be able to put these other batteries over here on another cart that holds 3, and I can put 2 on top. So I'll have a total, I gotta get one more battery, I'll have a total of 10 batteries. So, you know, there'll be over 50 kilowatt hours of battery on this, so I can easily run whatever I want. And, you know, I'll be able to run that hot water heater, take showers late at night, and I won't have to worry about it. I'll have enough battery. So looking forward to that. It's gonna be nice to get these off the wall and get 2 more on there. And like I said, I looked at the 6 kilowatts, putting 2 of those up there. I looked at the 12 kilowatt, I think it was the 18 kilowatt EG4 in that. But I really like the fact that if one of these things goes down, I still have another 4 in parallel. I still have 12,000 watts if I lose one set. So, and the inrush output that I have, and being able to run my 3.5 ton, my 4 ton, and now I would be able to run either my hot water heater at the same time or my pool heater. I'd be able to handle all of that pretty much at the same time, but I think they would really be pushing on just one unit or 2 of them in parallel. Especially the, you know, when you multiply out The 230 volts is pretty much what most of my stuff uses. 230 volts times the amount of amps that you're going to need, you'll find out very quickly that you could get it to probably start up, but then you're going to exceed what you're going to need on that. I know on, I think it was, when I was looking at the inrush, and for like the 12K EG4, you can have up to, I think it's like 24,000 in panels or something like that. There's a bunch of different ones, but that's just for a few seconds that you can go up to that. Then you're kind of held back at the 12,000 watts, and that's on one of them. And then the amount that you can bring in on each one of those, like I said, is going to be limited. Now, the nice thing I like about this, like I said, this one's over on my east side of the house, so by 1 o'clock I lose this. But the nice thing in the summertime, because the sun goes so low in the sky, this, let's see, this is producing 1.16 kilowatt, and this is 1.36 down here. This is only bringing in 689 watts. We're not using anything on a load. It's just these fridge and freezers. So let's see, we have, 571 watts here, and we're at 78%. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 4 kilowatts charging right now. When we have these other two on there, we will have, it's 9:30 in the morning in December, first part of December, and we're gonna have like, we have 4 right now, that would be close to 6 kilowatts charging. By probably around 8:30, 9 o'clock, we'll have 6 kilowatts minimum, and that'll be awesome. You know, I mean, 6 kilowatts in the wintertime at 8:30 in the morning, bringing in, charging our batteries back up. And we're only going down to like 70%. And that's just 70% of 5 batteries right here. We'll have those other 4 and then probably get another one. We'll have, like I said, 10. That will, it'll be huge. You know, hopefully down the road, we're looking at moving into a smaller house. To where this is a 2-story, we've been moving to 1-story. God, with 6 of these things, we'd have more than enough power, and all this stuff we can take with us. But the nice thing, I was running my 18,000 BTU mini split in the garage off of this one, and that's, like I said, there's 3,200 watts on one array and 3,000 on the other, but they're only on the west side. So in the summertime, I don't have any sun on those until like 10:30 in the morning. I start getting sun on the 3,200 watt array, and we only get 1,500 watts of sun by 10, and then by 11:30, we're getting full sun on all of them for the rest of the day. But by replacing these and putting 2 of those, I'll be able to use off of that over there to run this as early as I want in the morning. I mean, I could fire it up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I really don't, because I'm bringing in 5,000 watts, 5120 watt array, and a 6,000 watt array. So I'll be bringing in plenty. In the summertime, that sun kicks up. We start producing, God, it's by like, on the east side and my 6,000 watt array in the back north wall, I'm producing 2 kilowatts on each one of those by like 7:30 in the morning. So that's 6 kilowatt right away. And then I have another 6 kilowatt over here to be on the west side. So, I mean, it would be much better to have that. So, you know, like I said, right now I'm running off my battery. If I wanted to try and run at 9:30, I would be running off my battery, but right now I'm not even using anything on this, so I could run my garage, my heat or air conditioning in the garage in the wintertime, any time of the day I want, and I still wouldn't drain my batteries. With 10 of those, not gonna happen. Anyways, it's going to be fun to get these down and get 2 more and put those up and make 18,000 output. And don't really, now these are 150. The other problem that I have with these is they're down at only 145, 150 for the solar panel input. So and that's a 12,000. So you got to do a lot of paralleling to keep these below that. The problem I was having was I had those 250 watt poly panels that were used. They were at 37.5, 37.6 on the volts when you connected 4 of those. When it was at 37.5, you connect 4 of them, that's 150 volts. But it'd go over it a little bit for like 2, 3, 4 hours in the day. I'd constantly be getting a little fault code on here, and then my solar would disconnect on me for 30, 45 seconds and then reconnect because my voltage was going over on my solar array. So then I would, if I wanted to stop that, I'd have to go down to just 3 of those 250 watt panels. So I had 3 panels in series, and to do a 6,000 watt array, then you have to have 8 of them, 3 in series and then 8 of them in parallel. So when you start doing 8 in parallel, those amps start coming up quite a bit on what your wire's going to be carrying. So, you know, those things were supposed to be right around 7, 8 amps. You know, even if you're pulling 5 amps on each one of those 3 solar panels in series, that puts you at 40 amps. So it was like 40, 65 amps, and those wires were getting warm. So I really didn't like the fact that I had to do so many in parallel. And that's just one array. Then I go and do another array, and I really couldn't go over the 6,000 because of the amount of amps that I was having to do. This over here is up to 500 volts on the solar panel. These 10 400 watt bifacials that go up to 500 watts would be 5,000 watts. Those are all in series. So I keep my watts coming in on my wire below 20, 22 amps. God, it's like 16, 17 amps or something coming in. So I'm not carrying many amps through that wire. But with those, I bought some wire. I bought some 8 gauge wire. I was using 10 gauge. This is 10 gauge right here. This is 8 gauge right there. Now the problem is when you go to use your MC4 connectors on here for right here, when you connect it right down in here, when you go to put this cap on here right here to twist it on to make the waterproof seal, it doesn't handle an 8 gauge. You have to take a razor blade and kind of, or drill bit or something, and ream it out a little bit so it'll handle that. And I really don't want to do that. So I can still run the 10 gauge wire, solar wire, for the solar panels, and I'm not carrying that many amps through it. So I really like that versus the other one. So much lighter, carry a lot less amps, but much higher voltage. So definitely going to be a game changer on pulling these down. Now I'll have to reconfigure my solar arrays, but I have 8 400 watt bifacials that I have like 5 foot off the ground. All I got to do is put those all in series and run them in. And then I have 12 of the 250 watt, they're mono solar panels on my shed. I'll be able to run 6 in series and then 6 right into series into that, and then bring it in to my thing, 12 panels. I believe those are right around 37 volts DC current or DC voltage on those mono panels, or 250 watt that are used. So at 10, that's 370, and then you add another 75 to it, you're still under the 500 volts. So I can do 12 of those panels in series. So it's going to be much easier just to go right in series on both of those arrays, and they're set up right there coming in. So, but it's going to be pretty exciting to be able to. Now I have the slots right here. I can put another 2, maybe another 3 total in here. I only need 2. So these are my positive breakers from my battery going into my batteries, so I can add 2 more to there. And they actually give you those breakers when you order these. And then over here, I'm going to have to, this is a smaller one. I'll have to order the same size or a little bit bigger over here. So I'll be able to get all my solar, because these are, I think 25 amp breakers for my PV input. And I'm not really bringing in anything higher than 18 amps on my solar coming in, because it's at, like I said, I can go up to 500 volts on this. So it keeps all of this down. I have, which one is it? This one is 8 solar panels in series, 8 solar panels in series on the East Pergola. But then those are only like 8 amps on each one, so that's only like 16 amps coming in on this one. 10 in series. This one is 8 in series, 8 in series. So once again, it's like 16, 18 amps coming in on this north wall. And then this one is 12 250 watt poly panels in series, 12 250 watts. So once again, you're 16, 18 amps coming in. So not a big deal. So now we're starting to get where we have 3 kilowatts coming in, 4 kilowatts. And this is a kilowatt coming in. So we have 6 kilowatts coming in right now. 1.5, 1.5, and then 1 on each of those. Wait a minute, I'm sorry. That's 3, 4, 5. 5 kilowatts coming in. And it's not even 10 o'clock in the winter time, so that'll be good. So the only thing we're gonna have to do is order another one of these. These are less than 25 bucks. And then I'm gonna need to go to a bigger bus bar on these. These are 4. I'll probably need to get a 6 if I can find one, or I might have to get one of the bigger ones at Signature Solar that I can mount on here. They're pretty much the same bus bars that are in this 3 cabinet. So not a problem on that. And then they have like a plastic shield on it right here where the wires come out of the side. So not a big deal. And then all I gotta do is I'll have 5 of these in parallel, and then the other 4 plus the other one I get will be 5 in parallel. And then I just bring them in 2 on each of these. So I already have the thing connected down here, so I don't have to do anything different. I'm just going to get different bus bars. But I really thought about it, and I want to go with 2 more of these rather than go up to the EG4, 6,000, 8,000, 12,000, or 18,000. I know that they got hybrids, but I'm never going to connect to my house. So that hybrid really isn't going to do me anything. And, you know, with my electric bill being around $1,200 to $1,400 a year, which some of my neighbors, that's a month with their old air conditioner that's 20 years old in the summertime, I really don't need to go off grid. I mean, on grid. Out here, it's not worth it. They increase your bill to where it's like $125 a month before you even use 1 kilowatt hour. So if you go on grid, they're basically doubling your basic build, which goes to 125 minimum. So that's like $1,800 before I even produce anything. And then I'm going to be very limited on what I can put on there. And more than likely, they're not going to want me to be able to do it on the way I'm doing it with my arrays. I'd have to go on the roof. I don't want to put any holes in my roof. So that's the other thing I have. So I like going off grid. Don't have to put any panels on my roof. Don't have to worry about a lot of that stuff. This, you know, I can't imagine once I go to 6 that I would have to go any past that at all. That's just a huge amount. That's 18,000 watts output you could do. But then, like I said, at the nighttime, right now, I shut this one and this one off most of the time, but I can shut this one off and keep these two on. But I got to keep 2 of them on at night to run my air conditioner or anything like that. And especially if I'm going to be connecting my hot water heater, I'll need to have at least 2 of those on too, because you got to have 2 to do split phase, which is 230, 240, 208 volts. And then when you're doing that, you got to program that. And then if you try to just run one overnight, if you're not running anything but 110, 120 volts, you really can't do it when you have it in parallel. So, you know, and 2 of those running is 100 watts of idle consumption. That's really not bad. So at 12 hours from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., you know, that's 1,200 watts. That's 1.2 kilowatt hours. It's not a lot of consumption. So, you know, run all 6 of them during the day and only run 2 of them at night. That'll easily handle, even in the morning. Well, if I'm running my air conditioner, I'd probably get up at 5 o'clock and put 4 of them on before we start taking showers. So, but I believe that it would be able to handle the surge. Because when I'm running 2 of those, I was able to start up my 3.5 ton and then go and start my 4.5 ton right up after that. And it didn't have a problem. I was just draining my batteries on just having 2 of those connected because it was going like 6,500 watts when you only have 3,000 watt output. But I started draining my battery as we're, you know, if I have 4 of those on there, I'm still going to drain my battery, but it knocks it down. I don't like to stress these things and run them at 3,000 RPMs, constant output on each one of them. I mean, I think it's going to shorten the life if you're trying to get that. But if I need 3,000 watts and 6,000 watts, that's only 1,500 watts out of these. That's half of what the output is. So it's not going to stress them out. So hopefully gives you a little bit of information. I still like these. I'm just going to go with these because of the hernia. So it's going to be much easier. You can knock these things off the wall, put them on that table that jacks up and handles twice the amount of weight that these are. Put them on the racks and store them, put a cover over them. And who knows, down the road, might pull them out again or something. But they've served me well. And I still like them, but I love these much better. You know, these can be brand new, 2,500 plus shipping. These can be shipped UPS for under 20 bucks. So $674 plus tax, plus 20 bucks or less for shipping. These are minimum 250 bucks freight for shipping. So, I mean, if I ordered 4 of those, it would still be like only like 30 bucks, 40 bucks in shipping. So, and 12,000 output, 12,000 output. The other problem is on this, they told you that you don't want to get anywhere near that 12,000 watt output. You'll greatly reduce the life of these 12 kilowatt Growatts. These, I've had them up there close to 11,500, run them, and they really seem to be great because you're only pulling 25 amps out of each one of these. So that one doing close to 12 is 100 amps. So it's going to heat up a lot more as we're 25 amps coming out of one of these. And these are high frequency. That's low frequency. That's not really stressing it out, 25 amps coming out of there. Not that bad at all. But I love the EG4 line. I can't say enough good about it. I've had no problems with my batteries. These are brand new. All three of those down there are refurbished. No problems. No glitches, nothing. This is a knockoff of the EG4. I bought that one first. And then I think all three of those might be refurbished. I've had no problems. One of them, when I had these two in parallel, one of them tended to not want to charge that well. It would be down to like 85%, and the other one was at 100%, and it would stop charging. So all I had to do to fix that was to take it off and discharge it all the way, and charge it up like 2 or 3 times. And I'd do that like in a day. And then I'd put it back in parallel, and I didn't have any problems for 4 months. So, but if I do ever have a problem, sometimes they'll do that. I don't know what it is, if it's a BMS or what, but I just have to take it off, charge it, and discharge it separately. And it'll end up being fine. So, and I like that about these, that if they do something like that, you can just take it, put it separately, charge it, or discharge it all the way, fully charge it. Do that a couple of cycles, and then it'll fall right back in line again. So, but man, I'm planning on being able to use these batteries and these inverters for about 10, 15 years. So, but so far I've had 6 months of those inverters running up there, and I've had no problems. So I really like them. I'll leave a link in the description for the products, and also for solar panels and stuff too, a lot of the stuff that I get. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask questions. They're free to answer. And I usually get back to you pretty quick, within minutes or hours. I usually see a notification, and I try to answer it right away. So anyways, please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. See you in the next video. Hope you have a truly wonderful and extremely blessed December of 2024.